Hey everybody, here we have a frame and we want to press in these headset cups and put the headset on so that we can put the forks in. Now the same principle applies with whatever it is, mountain bike or road bike, whatever. These cups are usually pressed into frames 95% of the time. So how are we going to press them in? Well, don't use a hammer. Never use a hammer just to bash things in like that. We're talking about nice bikes, so do it properly. Now, the way to do it is with a press tool. And a press tool is really easy to make. This is a DIY, you can make your own. Pressing in your headset cups is very similar to pressing in bottom bracket press fit cups. All you need is a press tool. And here's the tool from our previous video. If you haven't made it, then go back and make it. This is a bottom bracket press fit tool. Really easy to make. Now, if you've already made it, all you need is a slight modification and you'll be able to press in your cups. If you haven't and don't want to make this bottom bracket tool, don't worry, you can still press in the headset or make one from scratch. Very easy. So let's get to it. First thing you'll need is a piece of thread that's 5/8 in diameter or 15.8 millimeters, and it's 200 millimeters long. So go and cut yourself a piece, go to the hardware store, and also while you're there, get 2 washers, relatively large, that fit nicely, and 2 nuts as well. And while you're at the hardware store, grab one of these. It's a female tank fitting poly plug. Now it's the smaller sort, 15 millimeter diameter, so they're only cheap. I think I paid $9 for this one. You can buy them on eBay for about $7. You also need one of these. It's an inline poly connector, 19 millimeter, or you can use a T. Either one, you only need one, and they're really cheap, something like 80 cents each or something. So get your poly connector and cut off both of the barbed ends. So discard those pieces, you don't need them. Now cut this piece right next to the center ridge there, right there. And you'll end up with a piece like this. And you want 2 of them, so do the same to the other side. Now give those little pieces a bit of a clean up with a file. Doesn't have to be perfect. And the main thing is with your thread that the piece fits on. See, it's a little bit hard because it's still burred, so get rid of those burrs and then the piece should fit on. Here we go, I've done this one. Fits on like that. Nice firm fit. You get the idea. So you've got 2 of these pieces now that fit onto your thread quite nicely. Right, so remove that end nut. And these washers here, these flexi washers, rubber washers, you don't need them. And now we're going to cut here. So with a hacksaw, just cut that off. Put it in the vise. And cut it as flush as you can to the plug there. Now, the plug you cut off, you'll find that the thread won't go through. The other one will, because it goes like that, easy. So, what you need to do is just take away some of that there, and you can either use a file, which fits in nicely, just turn it around, or you can use, I'm going to use a reamer. Either way, it's only plastic, so it shouldn't take long, it's not hard, and as long as the thread goes through, not quite yet, so I'll keep going, then you're right. So keep going until the thread just fits through nicely. Right, now once your thread goes through both pieces, get your other little poly piece that you cut off and make sure that goes through. That fits that one, no worries. But this one's a little bit tight, doesn't fit. That end doesn't matter so much, it's this end that you want it to go in. So what I'm going to do is just take away some of that thread inside there, because the thread's slightly smaller than the other piece for some reason. So you can either use a file or whatever means you want to. You can even use a drill. Now we want this part to fit nice and round into there, which is not going to. So we have to file those 6 edges off to make it just fit in there nicely. So you can wind the thread back on to that. Then I'll hold it. You're going to file. Remember, don't file too much off. It's better to not file enough and just keep filing. And then do all the edges. Try it on every now and again. That fits beautifully. Doesn't have to be tight, just fits on. That's nice. And with this other piece, of course, do the same. And now you've got all the pieces to your headset press tool. Right, don't forget to put a bit of lubricant on the ends of the threads there. Then you can put your nut and the washer on. So your thread, a nut and a washer, then your piece like that you just made, right in there. Then one of those little pieces of poly you made, put on there, and it sits inside like that. Then the cup, this is the top head cup, and it fits in nicely like that. Now you're ready to put it on your frame. So spray a light lubricant on the inside where the cup is going to press in, both the top and the bottom. Then a little bit on the surface of the cup. It's going to press into the frame there. Right, so it's your top piece. A little bit on the bottom piece. There. Then that piece inside there, and there, that goes up there, like that. Then the other washer, the other nut, and you're ready to screw them up. And you'll feel when you get to the end, because it's not going to go any further, so don't go too hard. And while it's there, just check really carefully that there's no gaps between the cup and the frame, that it's nice and even all the way around on the top and the bottom cup. And you're right, you can take the nuts off, undo the press, and that's all done. Well, there we go, all done, and now you can add your very own headset press to your tool collection. Don't forget, you can get specific instructions on how to make this on AusCycle on Facebook, so check that out. And you can also see some footage which is not on this YouTube channel, very funny some of it, on Instagram, AusCycle. Check it there. Cheers.
No, Gary told me if I don't go for a ride for a couple of days, I start feeling grumpy. And I said, oh, that's a sign of addiction. Do you feel that way too?
Cycling is a good medication.
It's a good medication.
I got to do something. If I don't do something every couple of days, you know, just some sort of physical activity, whether it's riding or swimming or walking or...
Otherwise you start feeling itchy and...
I just look at Strava and I see James mileage and I say, I'm alright.
Right. This guy, he needs a new pair of nicks. He needs a new pair of nicks.
Yeah.
Holes in his nicks, but he's got a $13,000 bike here.
I bloody fell off last week. I clicked in, ready to go one way, and then the guy said, no, we're going to go this other way, so I quickly turned around and I got caught off balance. I bloody went over.